Hi, I'm Shane in Sweden, and in this series of video presentations, we're going to look at how we can automate administrative tasks in Squarespace using Selenium and C#. In this first video, we're just going to have a quick look at the background, a quick discussion about what automation is, when you might want to think about automation, and in fact, what Squarespace is. Then we're going to quickly run through a specific task that I had to carry out in Squarespace and demonstrate why it was a good case for automation. The tasks we're going to look at here are logging into Squarespace and adding some digital products to an online e-commerce shop. In the following parts of this video, we're actually going to get down to the coding in C# and Selenium, the actual programming of the automation. So if you want to skip the background and go directly to the coding, just go to the next part. Okay, so automation. I've previously published a video on security test automation, but in this series of videos, we're going to talk more generally about automation and how you as an IT savvy person can harness its power. Now, you'd probably have to be living on the moon not to have read or seen some articles about automation and robotics. You may well be using chatbots like Siri on your telephone or Alexa at home, or else you may be aware of or have seen self-driving cars. It's quite likely that the last time you were using support online, you weren't actually dealing with a human person, that it might have actually been a chatbot. We're overloaded with descriptions of how robots and AI will either take all of our jobs or perhaps usher in a new age, a golden age of prosperity, or actually all of these. If you're interested, actually, there are links in the video below to these books and CGP Gray's videos. They're well worth checking out. We have a tendency to think of automation and bots being actual robots that will physically replace us. And in some cases, this actually may be true. In fact, it may have already happened. But it's more likely that the automation will involve physical or electronic documentation and the flow of information, where the automation involves the processing that information with bots or other software. And in fact, automation is sometimes described as digitalization or digital transformation, sometimes involving bots. Digitalization of workflows is why some jobs like loan manager actually have a very high risk of being automated, because it's very easy to conceptually describe exactly what their workflow is. When people look at pictures like this, there really is only one question on their minds. Where is my job in this picture? But this is a somewhat negative viewpoint, and the glass doesn't have to be half empty. While there's not much that we as individuals can do to stop the process of automation in the workplace around us, there is nothing stopping us from harnessing it for our own ends. Some professionals, like system administrators or database administrators, they've been doing this kind of thing for decades. They've been automating their work through the use of scripting and software to make their lives easier. Now, the question you need to be asking is, what could you do today? What could you automate to improve your productivity? And theoretically, this would then leave you free to do other things. There is, for example, the infamous case which was posted on Reddit by Fillet of Fish, who had automated his job so thoroughly that he did nothing but play League of Legends at his office for 6 years. Now, I'm not suggesting you do that, but if you can automate some of your tasks that you do at work, that will free up time to perhaps work on more interesting projects, or perhaps take that Pluralsight course that you've been dying to get your teeth into, build up your skill set and take some new directions in your work. There are many reasons why you'd want to think about automating and what you can automate in your own job. For example, tasks that leave you feeling brain dead, where there's no challenge anymore, right? Or perhaps there never was a challenge with it. Or tasks where sometimes, even though it's really boring and irritating and repetitive, you still need to be accurate. For example, filling in health information forms for patients. These are particular tasks where automating it could improve your accuracy and at the same time remove a lot of the boredom out of your day-to-day work. There can be jobs that you have to do in the middle of the night. Why sit there at work at your computer terminal at 3 a.m. when you can have a robot do the job for you? Or maybe there's some time constraints. Something has to be done immediately or as soon as possible after an event, without fail, without ever forgetting. Or for example, stuff that has to be carried out at a very high tempo, stuff that can be very stressful, but still needs to be done correctly. Again, this is the type of thing that automation can help with. There has never been a better time either actually to automate your own workflows. There are so many automation tools out there that are quite cheap to use, or they already come with the systems you have, such as Office 360, or they're entirely free. Employers love automation. It improves productivity, it reduces risk, and it increases quality. You may be asking yourself, why would you want to remove your own responsibilities at work? Remember, you can choose what to automate. Get rid of those boring tasks. Get rid of those stressful tasks. Get rid of those antisocial hours. Use that time to invest in working on high quality activities that are enjoyable and interesting and that will further your career. Maybe you can work through that Plural site or Udemy course you've been dying to look at every Friday while your automated process works in the background, producing that report that you used to do manually. Or actually just learning to use these automation tools is in itself a valuable skill. So this is why we want to look at automation. In our case, we're going to look at a real world example of a job I had to do manually and why it was a good choice to automate. The tools we're using here are Selenium and C Sharp, and the tasks we're doing are Squarespace administrative tasks. We're going to look at two tasks: logging into Squarespace, how we can automate that, and adding a digital product, how we can automate that. So let's go over to Squarespace and look at what it is and why we'd want to automate it. Okay, so that was a quick look at automation. But what is Squarespace then? I suspect the fact that you're watching this video is an indication that you are actually aware of what Squarespace is. But just to make sure we're all on the same page, here we can see Squarespace, which is a service that allows you to easily create an online presence, like a website or an e-commerce web shop or a blog. It's a fairly easy to use and, in my opinion, has a fairly reasonable price tag. And its main competitors would be things like Wix, for example, or possibly a hosted WordPress site. So here we are logged into Squarespace on our e-commerce site, and we're ready to examine and time how long it takes to carry out this task that we want to demonstrate, which is adding a digital product. If you're wondering why we're not including in the timing of this task the actual process of logging in, since that might take some time as well, well, yes, that will take some time, but in my case, in my use case, for example, I had to add maybe 1,000 products. So in the list of tasks to be done, I had logging in once and then adding 1,000 products. So we can see that as a first approximation, the time needed for those 1001 tasks is roughly going to be the same as the time to add one product multiplied by 1,000. So in working out our guesstimates here, it makes life simpler for us if we just measure our single task of adding a digital product. Before we do any timing experiments, it might be useful to look at what products we're actually selling here. So we're selling digital products, and the digital products are images that people can download and use, for example, in their presentations. And here we've got some images which are highly original, highly valuable stickman figures, and these are the products we're going to be using in this series of presentations. So let's get started on the timing. We will set our digital timer going, and then we will add our product. Now I just want to pause the video playback for a moment, because while we are doing this task of uploading a new product, we're also going to examine which elements of, or which actions, sub-actions inside this task that are repetitive or the same for every time we upload a product, or could easily be done using the input from a text file. So we'll identify those elements as we go along inside this task. And so immediately here we can see that we press the add button, and we will be obviously pressing the add button every time we add a product. We also, as you can see here, we have to choose which shop page we're going to place our product in. And in this task, for example, where I was loading up 1,000 products, I was loading them all up to the same shop page, or I could group them within the same shop page. So this would again be a repetitive button that I would need to press for every single product I uploaded. And we have to choose the page and the product type. As we said, it's digital product. Here we have to add an image that would be the preview image. So we're going to choose an image with a watermark, since the customer can see this image before they've actually paid any money. And while that's loading, we want to add some tags. So we can say stickman, for example, original art. And this one was with the hat. And here we've got maybe original art and stick images as categories. We've got to add a name, a title, so we're going to say stickman in hat. new original art. And we're going to give a description. Another fabulous image in the Stickman series of collectibles. So we've got that. Then we go to pricing and upload. Here we can actually add the real product. So this is the full image, which will be much bigger. And while that's loading, we can add some price. So we're going to set the price list to its real value, which is of course around 2,000 euros. And we'll give it a sale price as maybe 200 euros, and it's not on sale at the moment. Here we could add some more text on the product. We don't want to do that at the moment, or forms, where you can force somebody to click a form, fill in a form before they can buy the product. But here we want to add a thumbnail so that we can load our web page faster. So we're going to have a thumbnail image we're loading up there. We don't need to set a custom URL, but we could. We don't need to set the SEO information, or we don't want to publish this on our social media yet. So we're pretty much ready to go. As soon as all the images are uploaded, yes, the watermark, the main, and the thumbnail. Yes, okay, so now we can save and publish. So let's save and publish. Okay, stop. So it took us 2.5 minutes roughly to load up one product, and we didn't complete all the fields, but most of the fields. We could actually sell that product as it is. Now, in my case, as I mentioned, in my case, we had 1,000 to 1,500 images to load up. So if we do a quick calculation, if we take 1,500 multiplied by 2.5 minutes, and then we divide that by 60 minutes per hour, and we're maybe working 8 hours a day on this project. There you can see we're well over a week to load up my 1,000 images, and you could imagine just how boring it would be filling in that form 1,500 times. Apart from the amount of time it would take to actually load up our 1,000 products, we also were able to identify this type of administrative task as a good candidate for automation, since we could actually identify quite a number of repeatable actions that are identical and that have to be carried out every time you add a digital product. For example, every time we have to click on the button where we add product. And we were also able to identify a number of elements where we're carrying out basically the same action, but it would be useful if we could enter the value from a text file or some sort of data store that we have. So with these combination of these elements and the awareness of how long it would take, this is definitely a good investment of our time, automating the process of adding one digital product to our e-commerce site in Squarespace. And it is this task we will start to program in the next video. But for now, I'd say thank you very much, and hopefully we'll see you in the next part.